Welcome to the deep dive. Today, we're jumping right into a really intense part of a story many of you will know.
That's right. We're looking closely at Genesis chapter 37, specifically verses 12 to 36.
And we're using a study guide from Facioli Publishing Day 2, Joseph's Life Betrayed and Sold, as our lens for this.
It's a great guide. It really helps focus on this incredibly tough moment for Joseph. Betrayed by his brothers, sold off. Just devastating.
So our mission today for you listening is to really unpack what happened, why it might have happened, the motivations there, and maybe start thinking about what it all means.
Yeah. Think jealousy, think desperation,
Hmm.
and what it must felt like for Joseph, just completely crushed.
Okay, let's set the scene. Joseph, he's only 17. His dad, Jacob, sends him off to check on his brothers.
Who are tending the flocks. Sounds pretty normal, right? Like a routine task.
But it wasn't routine at all, was it? The source really points out that Joseph was a favorite son. Jacob didn't exactly hide it.
No, he didn't. And that's key here. The Fazioli text highlights this. Joseph was chosen and favored, and his brothers. When they saw him coming,
Oh, yeah.
their hearts burned with envy. That's strong language. They even called him that dreamer,
Yeah.
with real scorn.
You can just feel the resentment, can't you? It wasn't just sibling rivalry, it was deep. They weren't seeing their brother anymore.
No, they were seeing this symbol of, I don't know, everything they felt they weren't getting, maybe perceived unfairness. Makes you wonder, what fuels that kind of envy?
It's like his presence just poked at their own feelings of being overlooked. And that resentment, well, it didn't just simmer, did it? It boiled over fast.
Really fast. The source says they plotted to rid themselves of him. Stark words.
And their first idea was even darker.
Oh, yeah. Initially, they were talking about actually killing him. Just straight up murder. It shows you how incredibly hostile they felt.
It's terrifying, really. Not just pushing him aside, but eliminating him.
But then Reuben steps in, the eldest. And that kind of changes the dynamic, or tries to.
Right, Reuben. He says basically, hold on, let's not kill him. He suggests throwing him into a pit instead. Still awful, but different.
It is different. And the Fazioli piece floats an interesting idea about Reuben's motives here.
What was that again?
Well, it suggests maybe Reuben had a flicker of mercy. Maybe he was actually planning to sneak back later, pull Joseph out, and return him to Jacob on the quiet.
Huh. So maybe not entirely on board with the others. Bit of complexity there.
Definitely adds a layer, doesn't it?
Yeah.
Shows maybe some internal conflict, perhaps that sense of responsibility as the oldest kicking in, even amidst all that anger.
And so you think about group dynamics, even in intense situations, people react differently.
Exactly. But Reuben's plan, whatever it was, gets sidelined when Judah speaks up.
Judah. He asks that really practical, almost cold question, doesn't he?
Yeah, what will we gain if we kill our brother? It's like, wait a minute, let's think about the profit angle here.
A total shift.
Hmm.
From hot-headed violence to, well, transaction.
Precisely. Judah suggests selling Joseph to this Ishmaelite caravan they see heading towards Egypt.
And the price. The source makes a point of mentioning the price.
It does. 20 pieces of silver. And the guide explicitly states that was the price of a common slave.
Wow.
Us.
Just, wow. That detail really hits home, doesn't it? Selling your own brother for slave value.
It underscores just how little they regarded him at that moment, the depth of their disregard. It's shocking.
And before they even sell him, there's that act with the robe, stripping it off him.
Yeah, that's significant. The Fazioli piece really emphasizes, for you listening, this wasn't just any robe.
It was the special one from Jacob, the symbol of his favor.
Exactly. So it wasn't just about, taking his clothes. It was symbolic. They were trying to strip away his status, his identity as the favored one, diminish him.
It's powerful how a physical act can carry so much weight, so much meaning, or rather, unmeaning, trying to erase his meaning.
It really is. It makes you think about how people try to diminish others, maybe taking away things that represent their value.
Such a disturbing pattern. And then the cover-up, the deception aimed at their father.
This is just heartbreaking. They take that beautiful robe,
And dip it in goat's blood. Why goat's blood? Just to make it look like a wild animal attack.
presumably. It paints this vivid, false picture of violent death. It's calculated. It's cruel. Designed specifically to fool Jacob.
And convince him Joseph is gone for good, so he won't look for him.
Right. They present this bloody robe to him, and the source, it describes Jacob just weeping bitterly, believing his favorite son is dead.
The grief must have been immense, and all based on this horrible, elaborate lie.
It just shows the ripple effects, the devastation their actions caused, not just to Joseph, but to their father, too.
It's betrayal on so many levels. Betraying Joseph, betraying Jacob's trust, his love. The family is just fractured.
Absolutely fractured. Jealousy, deceit, a complete lack of empathy, really.
So, as we look back on all this, the Fascioli Guide starts pulling out some themes, some initial reflections for us.
Yeah. And what's interesting is how it frames this. It highlights the obvious theme, betrayal, by the people closest to him. Feeling, as it says, cast away like an object.
It doesn't sugarcoat the pain, the injustice of it all. It wants you to see that raw human cost.
But then it adds this other layer, this idea that, and this is central to the source's message, I think, even in the darkest pit, God is still working.
Right. So even when things look absolutely hopeless for Joseph, I mean, he's literally in a pit, then sold, maybe there's something bigger going on, something unseen.
Exactly. The source kind of nudges you to think, maybe what was meant for harm.
Could somehow be turned towards good?
Yeah.
Eventually, in ways nobody could predict then.
That's the perspective it offers.
Yeah.
It plants this tiny seed of hope in the middle of utter darkness. It suggests this might not be the end of the story.
Which I think is where it really tries to connect with the listener, with you, because it asks that question.
Have you ever felt betrayed or overlooked?
Yeah. And that's something so many people can relate to, unfortunately. That feeling of being discarded or misunderstood.
And the source suggests, if you have felt that, look at Joseph. Even here, at his lowest point, his story offers a flicker of hope. A reminder that the pit isn't necessarily the final stop.
It's about maybe finding a bigger picture, even when you're stuck right in the middle of something awful.
That those setbacks, those betrayals you might face, they don't always get the last word. There's potential for resilience, for unexpected turns, for good to emerge somehow. It asks you to hold on to that possibility.
Okay, so let's just quickly recap for everyone listening. Drawing from Genesis 37 in that Fascioli Guide, we saw Joseph sent out by his father.
Only to be met with intense jealousy from his brothers. They called him that dreamer, conspired against him, initially planning to kill him.
Then Reuben's intervention suggesting the pit, maybe hoping to rescue him later.
But Judah shifts gears, proposing they sell Joseph instead. For 20 pieces of silver, the price of a slave. Just devastating.
Then the cruel deception. Stripping the robe, dipping it in blood, convincing Jacob his beloved son was dead, leading to unbearable grief.
A truly dark series of events. But the core message, the takeaway from the source for you, is persistence of hope.
That even in betrayal, loss, when you feel abandoned,
There might be unseen forces, a bigger purpose unfolding, potential for future good emerging from the absolute worst situations. It's a message about holding on.
it really does make you think, doesn't it, about those times in our own lives, the moments that felt like a final dead end.
Yeah, like a door slamming shut for good.
What if? What if those weren't endings? What if they were actually turning points? Uncomfortable, painful turning points maybe, but turns nonetheless.
What if even the absolute pits we find ourselves in, the times we feel sold out or cast aside, hold some kind of possibility, a larger purpose we just can't see yet?
That's definitely something powerful to consider. Something for you to maybe mull over long after we finish this deep dive today.